Sharks and the impacts of overfishing. Healthy populations of sharks are critical to a healthy ocean. Typically occupying the top of food webs as apex predators, they keep said food webs in balance. The impact of overfishing of shark populations can cause food webs to become unstable and potentially collapse. Recent science is also revealing the important role sharks have in regulating the behavior of other animals, such as tiger sharks preventing overgrazing of seagrass by turtles and dugongs. In preventing overgrazing, tiger sharks are indirectly maintaining the health of seagrass habitat, which forms important nurseries for smaller fish, and stores carbon for 1,000 years at 40 times the speed of terrestrial forests, which in comparison, store carbon for around 100 years. There are 516 species of shark in the world. Sharks are characteristically long-lived animals that mature late and give birth to few young. On average, they mature at 10 years, and give birth to 4 to 6 pups following a reproductive cycle of 1 to 2 years. Consequently, they are extremely vulnerable to fishing pressure, and overfishing of sharks has resulted in some alarming statistics whereby the numbers of their oceanic species have crashed by 70% in just the last 50 years. Since the dawn of industrialized fishing in the last 100 years, the impact of overfishing has driven a third of sharks and rays to extinction. Here's a fun statistic to consider. Sharks have been on Earth for around 450 million years, surviving 5 mass extinction events. And so if we think of their existence as a 24-hour clock, overfishing has wreaked havoc in just 0.02 seconds. What is overfishing, and is it different from being overfished? Overfishing is depleting a population faster than it can replenish itself. When a species is overfished, this means it has declined to danger zone, a point below which you can no longer remove individuals from its population at a maximum rate over an indefinite period. In fisheries science, this rate is called maximum sustainable yield. Importantly, a population may be overfished but not experiencing overfishing. Can a species experience overfishing even if it isn't threatened? Yes, it is entirely possible for species to be experiencing overfishing when it isn't a threatened species. Examples include the tiger shark, which is currently in decline, however is assessed as near threatened in Australia. Conversely, the vulnerable shortfin mako shark is a threatened species that is currently experiencing overfishing. There are a total of 14 shark species in Australia that are considered overfished, including the iconic great white, vulnerable, scalloped and great hammerheads, endangered, grey nurse, east coast, critically endangered, west coast, vulnerable, and oceanic whitetip sharks, critically endangered. Alarmingly, despite being overfished and endangered, Australia still legally permits fishing and sale of endangered school, and both endangered scalloped and great hammerheads for meat and fins. How to stop overfishing? The most fundamental component to any modern-day, sustainable fishery is independent observation of fishing activity, whether by human observers or cameras on board vessels. Independent observation allows the accurate collection of data, enabling us to get a better understanding of what species is being caught, where it's being caught, and in what numbers. Importantly, it's not always necessary or possible to cover 100% of fishing activity, and so the levels of observation must be a scientifically determined, statistically robust representation of all fishing activity in both time and space. This will then promote species recovery as soon as possible because, short of stopping fishing altogether, bycatch is essentially inevitable. Species that can trigger the closure of a fishery are known as choke species, like the choke on a throttle that determines the speed of an engine. Complementary to mortality or catch limits, there are multiple strategies to promote threatened species recoveries. Perhaps one of the most fundamental is protecting critical habitats like aggregation sites or breeding grounds, sometimes they're one and the same, to limit interactions with fisheries in the first place and enable species to boost their numbers over time. The critically endangered grey nurse shark on the east of Australia is a classic example, where many of their known aggregation sites throughout New South Wales and Queensland are protected from all or most types of fishing. Consequently, they appear to be showing tentative signs of recovery of 4 to 5% per year. However, significantly more protection is required to definitely recover the species. Take-home messages. Sharks are facing their biggest threat in their entire existence, us. Ironically, our very existence depends on theirs, given that healthy oceans need healthy populations of sharks. Overfishing and being overfished are different concepts. Overfishing is the continued decline of a species irrespective of its extinction risk. Being overfished is once a species has fallen below its population danger zone and fishing for the species has to stop. It's possible for a species to experience overfishing and not be overfished. Its numbers are declining but haven't reached a critical level yet. We must understand that sustainability is more than just the number of a given fish. It is the fishing impact on the environment as a whole which determines sustainability. There is no point calling one species sustainable because of its individual numbers when its harvest comes at the cost of other threatened species. Where does one then draw the line? Independent observation fishing activity and the protection of critical habitats are fundamental and complementary strategies to stop the overfishing of threatened species and enable their recovery back to healthy numbers. We are their biggest threat, and their only hope.